Unmasking toxic people with Stoic wisdom. Have you ever crossed paths with someone who seemed too good to be true? You know the type, charming, charismatic, the kind of person who lights up a room and makes you feel like you're the center of their world. They're magnetic, drawing everyone in with their dazzling smile and effortless confidence. But then something shifts. Maybe it's a fleeting moment, a sharp comment, a dismissive glance, or a vibe that just feels off. Over time, the cracks in their facade widen, revealing a darker side. Manipulation, lies, or a chilling lack of care for anyone but themselves. It's unsettling, isn't it? That moment, when you realize the person you thought you knew might be hiding something far more sinister. What if I told you that some people out there thrive on causing chaos and pain, all while cloaking their true nature behind a carefully crafted mask? These aren't cartoon villains twirling mustaches. They're real people in your life. They could be a coworker who undermines you with a smile, a friend who always seems to twist the narrative, or even someone closer, like a family member, whose words cut deeper than they should. The truth is, toxic people are everywhere, and spotting them isn't just about avoiding drama. It's about protecting your peace, your energy, and your happiness. Today, we're diving deep into the dark reality of toxic people. This isn't about gossip or pointing fingers. It's about equipping you with the tools to see through the charm and recognize the red flags before they wreak havoc in your life. We're going to explore how to spot these individuals, understand their tactics, and, most importantly, protect yourself from their influence. Whether it's navigating a tricky workplace dynamic, reevaluating a friendship, or setting boundaries with someone closer to home, this video is your guide to taking back control. And here's the kicker. We're not just throwing out modern self-help tips. We're tapping into ancient Stoic wisdom, timeless insights from philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. These thinkers believed in using reason and virtue to cut through deception and live a life of clarity and strength. Their teachings are like a roadmap for spotting toxic traits and staying grounded, no matter who you're dealing with. By blending their wisdom with practical strategies, we'll uncover how to navigate life's trickiest relationships with confidence and calm. Stick with me until the end, because I've got a bonus section waiting for you, a step-by-step guide to setting rock-solid boundaries that'll guard your mental health like a fortress. This is going to be a journey, so grab a notebook, maybe a coffee, and let's get ready to unmask the truth together. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join me as we peel back the layers of toxic behavior and learn how to reclaim our peace. You don't want to miss this. Trust me, it's going to change the way you see the people around you. Before we dive into the telltale signs of toxic people, let's pause and talk about why this journey is worth your time. Recognizing toxic individuals isn't just about satisfying a nagging curiosity or sidestepping petty drama. It's about safeguarding something far more precious, your life, your energy, and your happiness. Every interaction you have shapes your world, and toxic people can drain your spirit, derail your goals, and leave you questioning your worth. But here's the good news. You have the power to see through their tactics, protect your peace, and build a life that's rooted in clarity and purpose. This isn't just a video. It's a toolkit for transforming how you navigate relationships, and I'm thrilled to share it with you. The ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, understood this better than anyone. These philosophers weren't just pondering life's big questions in togas. They were wrestling with the same human challenges we face today: deception, betrayal, and the struggle to stay true to ourselves. They believed that reason and virtue are your greatest weapons for cutting through the noise. To them, it wasn't enough to take people at face value. You have to look deeper, past the charming words and polished exteriors, to see who they truly are. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look within. Do not allow the special quality or worth of anything to pass you by." That's a call to action. 2. Use your mind to discern truth from illusion. By learning to spot toxic traits, you're doing more than just dodging harm. You're taking control of your environment and choosing who gets a seat at your table. Think about it. How much lighter would your life feel if you could confidently identify the manipulators, the liars, or the self-centered charmers before they got too close. This isn't about becoming cynical or closing yourself off. It's about building stronger, healthier relationships with people who uplift and respect you. The Stoics saw this as a path to a good life, one grounded in peace, purpose, and authentic connection. What makes this approach so powerful is its blend of timeless wisdom and practical application. The Stoics didn't just offer lofty ideals. They gave us tools to stay steady in a chaotic world. Whether you're dealing with a co-worker who undermines you, a friend who leaves you drained, or a family member who pushes your buttons, their insights will help you stay grounded. We're going to break down 5 key signs of toxic people, each paired with a Stoic twist to keep you sharp and centered. This is life-changing stuff, not because it's flashy, but because it's real. It's about empowering you to protect what matters most and create a life that reflects your values. So stick with me as we explore these signs and uncover how to navigate relationships with clarity and strength. You're in for a game changer, and I'm excited to walk this path with you. Sign 1. Charm that hides selfishness. Imagine meeting someone who seems like they stepped out of a feel-good movie. They're charismatic, quick-witted, and have a knack for making you feel like you're the center of their universe. Their smile is infectious, their stories captivating, and you can't help but think, wow, this person is incredible. You're drawn in, eager to connect, and maybe even a little flattered by their attention. But as the days or weeks pass, cracks begin to appear in their dazzling facade. The conversation, you notice, always seems to loop back to them, their achievements, their problems, their dreams. Your attempts to share are met with interruptions, dismissive nods, or subtle, stinging remarks that leave you feeling smaller than before. That radiant charm? It's not what it seems. It's a carefully crafted mask, concealing a deeply self-centered core. The Stoics, with their emphasis on wisdom and discernment, would urge us to pause and look beyond the surface. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "Look within. Do not allow the special quality or worth of anything to pass you by." This is a call to see things as they truly are, not as they're presented. Charm can be intoxicating, but it's often a distraction. A toxic person's charisma isn't a gift meant to uplift you. It's a tool to serve their own agenda. They wield it to draw you in, to keep you engaged, but the focus remains squarely on them. Their interest in you is superficial, a means to an end, whether it's validation, control, or simply keeping you in their orbit. So, how do you spot this hidden selfishness? Pay attention to their actions, not just their words. Do they genuinely engage with your thoughts, or are they biding their time until they can steer the spotlight back to themselves? Do they celebrate your successes, or do they subtly undermine them to bolster their own ego? Notice the small moments. When you share a story, do they listen with curiosity, or do they interrupt with a "that reminds me of me" anecdote? These patterns reveal their true priorities. Here's a practical test to uncover what lies beneath the charm. The next time you're with this person, share something meaningful about yourself, a recent accomplishment, a personal concern, or a cherished aspiration. Observe their response closely. Do they lean in, ask questions, and show genuine care? Or do they brush it off, pivot to their own experiences, or worse, diminish your moment with a backhanded comment? A person who consistently redirects the focus to themselves is showing you who they are. Their charm, while alluring, is a means of maintaining control, not building connection. The Stoics teach us to prioritize substance over superficiality. Epictetus, another Stoic thinker, reminds us that true value lies in character, not in appearances. By looking beyond the dazzle of charm, we can protect ourselves from those who prioritize their own needs above all else. A toxic person's charisma may draw you in, but their actions will always reveal the truth. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and value those who show through their deeds that they genuinely care. How they handle setbacks. One of the clearest ways to spot selfishness is by observing how someone handles life's inevitable challenges. Missed opportunities, tough days, or unexpected setbacks come for everyone, but a toxic person's reaction to these moments is telling. Instead of responding with composure or self-reflection, they unravel. They might lash out, blaming others for their misfortune, or become defensive, twisting the narrative to regain control. You might notice them snapping over minor inconveniences, sulking excessively, or manipulating the situation to paint themselves as the victim. These behaviors aren't just emotional outbursts. They're signs of a self-centered core that prioritizes their ego over everything else. The Stoics, with their focus on inner resilience, offer a lens to understand this. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." For the Stoics, true character shines through in adversity. A virtuous person remains grounded, taking responsibility, and seeking solutions, even when life feels unfair. A toxic person, however, lacks this inner strength. Their anger, blame-shifting, or manipulation during setbacks reveals a fragility rooted in selfishness. They can't tolerate anything that threatens their sense of control or superiority. To spot this red flag, watch how someone behaves when things don't go their way. Do they own their mistakes, or do they make others pay the price for their frustration? For example, if they miss a deadline, do they reflect on their role, or do they scapegoat a colleague? If a plan falls apart, do they stay calm or do they guilt-trip those around them? These moments strip away the charm and expose their true priorities. The Stoics remind us to value those who face adversity with grace, not those who make everyone else bear the burden of their discontent. Take your time to judge. Before you deem someone trustworthy, the Stoics would advise you to slow down and proceed with caution. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, wrote in his discourses, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." Applied to relationships, this wisdom urges us not to rush to judgment, whether positive or negative. That charismatic person who seems flawless at first might be performing. Their charm a polished act rather than a reflection of genuine character. To truly know someone, take your time and observe them, especially in unguarded moments when they're not trying to impress. Pay attention to the small telling details that reveal who they are beneath the surface. How do they treat the waiter at a restaurant when service is slow? Are they patient and kind, or do they snap with entitlement? What do they say about others when those people aren't around? Do they speak with respect, or do they gossip and tear others down? These seemingly minor interactions are windows into their true nature, far more reliable than their carefully curated words or charm. This approach isn't about paranoia. It's about embracing the Stoic principle of using reason to guide your trust, rather than being swayed by fleeting emotions or dazzling first impressions. A charming facade can obscure selfish or toxic tendencies, but actions over time will always tell the truth. The Stoics remind us to prioritize evidence over feelings, to let someone's consistent behavior shape our view of them. So, if someone's charisma feels almost too perfect, give it time. Watch how they act when they think no one's paying attention. Let their deeds, not just their words, build or break your trust. By practicing this deliberate patience, you protect yourself from being swayed by surface-level allure and cultivate relationships grounded in authentic character. Sign 2. A glaring lack of empathy. The second sign of a toxic person is their glaring lack of empathy, a trait that stands out like a red flag in any relationship. Empathy is the glue that binds healthy connections. It's the ability to step into someone else's shoes, to feel their joy, pain, or struggles as if they were your own. Toxic people, however, lack this fundamental quality. They don't care about how their words or actions impact others. Your feelings, they're irrelevant. Your struggles, they might dismiss them, mock them, or worse, use them against you. If you've ever poured your heart out, sharing a fear, a heartbreak, or a difficult moment, only to have it brushed off, ignored, or belittled, you know the sting of that dismissal. It's isolating, like you're shouting into a void, unseen and unheard. This absence of empathy manifests in countless ways. A toxic person might change the subject when you're sharing something vulnerable, making it clear your emotions don't matter. They might make you feel foolish for opening up, leaving you second-guessing your trust. Picture a friend who responds to your excitement about a promotion with a snarky, "Oh, that's nice, but it's not that big a deal," or a boss who takes credit for your hard work without a shred of acknowledgement. These behaviors don't just hurt, they erode your confidence and create a toxic environment. Whether at work, in friendships, or at home, toxic people may occasionally mimic empathy, especially if it serves their agenda. Early in a relationship, they might feign concern or support to gain your trust or loyalty, but over time, their true colors bleed through. They won't celebrate your successes. Instead, they might undermine them out of jealousy or indifference. A colleague who dismisses your contributions in a meeting, or a family member who never asks how you're doing, these are telltale signs. Their inability to connect with your emotions reveals a deeper truth. They're incapable of fostering mutual, healthy relationships. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius, a beacon of Stoic wisdom, emphasized compassion as a cornerstone of virtue. He wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Toxic people invert this principle entirely. They're relentlessly strict with you, quick to criticize, judge, or demand, while remaining utterly indifferent to your feelings. Their disregard isn't a minor flaw or a quirky personality trait. It's a glaring warning sign. It signals a fundamental inability to build trust, respect, or reciprocity, which are the bedrocks of any meaningful connection. This lack of empathy doesn't just harm individuals, it poisons entire environments. In workplaces, it breeds resentment and stifles collaboration. In friendships, it creates one-sided dynamics where you're left feeling drained. At home, it can foster tension and emotional distance. Recognizing this sign is crucial because it empowers you to set boundaries and protect your well-being. By identifying those who lack empathy, you can choose to surround yourself with people who value your emotions and uplift you instead. Empathy in action, or lack thereof. Empathy is the heartbeat of healthy relationships, but its absence is a hallmark of toxicity. To understand this, let's explore how empathy, or the lack of it, plays out in real-life scenarios. Imagine you're working on a high-stakes project, pouring your heart and soul into it. Deadlines loom, stress mounts, and you're stretched thin. Exhausted, you confide in your boss, admitting you need a breather to avoid burnout. A compassionate boss would listen attentively, validate your feelings, and perhaps adjust your workload or offer support. They'd recognize your effort and humanity, fostering trust and collaboration. A toxic boss, however, reacts differently. They dismiss your concerns with a curt, "Everyone's busy, deal with it," or worse, pile on more tasks, implying you're not doing enough. They might even guilt-trip you, questioning your commitment. This lack of empathy doesn't just sting, it creates a vicious cycle of stress, resentment, and disengagement that poisons the workplace. Now consider a personal scenario, a friendship, where empathy is conspicuously absent. You share exciting news, a new job, a personal milestone, or a hard-won achievement, expecting your friend to share in your joy. Instead, they barely acknowledge it. They change the subject, pivot to their own problems, or downplay your success with a backhanded comment like, "That's cool, but it's not like you won the lottery." It's not just annoying, it's deeply alienating. Over time, you notice a pattern. They're never genuinely happy for you, never curious about your feelings, and never there when you need emotional support. This isn't a quirk. It's a glaring sign they're incapable of connecting with your emotions. The Stoics, who valued compassion as a cornerstone of human connection, would see this as a profound betrayal of the empathy that binds us as a community. The absence of empathy manifests in subtle and overt ways. A toxic person might ignore your struggles, mock your vulnerabilities, or exploit your trust. For instance, if you share a personal insecurity, they might use it to undermine you later, turning your openness against you. In contrast, an empathetic person would listen, offer comfort, or simply be present, reinforcing mutual respect. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius urged us to practice compassion, writing, "Kindness is invincible, provided it's sincere." Toxic individuals lack this sincerity, and their indifference erodes trust and intimacy. This lack of empathy doesn't just harm individuals, it disrupts entire ecosystems. In workplaces, it breeds mistrust and stifles teamwork, as employees feel undervalued and unheard. In friendships, it creates one-sided dynamics, where you're left emotionally drained, giving far more than you receive. In families, it fosters distance and unresolved conflict. Recognizing these patterns empowers you to set boundaries and seek relationships grounded in mutual care. By surrounding yourself with people who practice empathy, those who listen, celebrate your wins, and support you through challenges, you cultivate a life of connection and resilience, aligned with the Stoic ideal of living virtuously. Protect yourself with boundaries. When you encounter someone who consistently lacks empathy, it's crucial to safeguard your emotional well-being. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, offer guidance on navigating such challenges. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of protecting your inner peace above all else. If someone repeatedly demonstrates indifference to your feelings, dismissing your struggles, mocking your vulnerabilities, or ignoring your joys, it's a clear signal to establish boundaries. These boundaries aren't about shutting people out, but about honoring your worth and preserving your mental and emotional health. Setting boundaries can take many forms, depending on the relationship and context. For instance, if a friend or colleague habitually disregards your emotions, you might limit how much personal information you share with them, keeping interactions surface level or professional. In more toxic situations, such as with a family member who belittles your achievements, you might need to distance yourself entirely, reducing contact to protect your peace. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our actions, responses, and choices, rather than wasting energy on changing someone else's behavior. As Seneca wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." A practical approach to setting boundaries involves clear, calm communication. If someone dismisses your feelings, resist the urge to argue or plead for understanding. It's as futile as trying to teach a rock to feel. Instead, assert your needs firmly and respectfully. For example, if a coworker constantly interrupts you during meetings, you might say, "I'd like to finish my thought, please." If they push back or ignore your request, stay resolute, repeating your boundary as needed. This approach not only reinforces your self-respect, but also signals that you value your voice. Over time, consistent boundary setting trains others too. Respect your limits or reveals when a relationship is too toxic to maintain. Boundaries also serve as a form of self-care, aligning with the Stoic principle of living virtuously. By choosing who gets access to your emotional space, you prioritize your well-being and create room for healthier connections. For instance, if a friend never celebrates your successes, you might redirect your energy toward those who uplift you, fostering relationships built on mutual care. The Stoics remind us that we cannot force empathy in others, but we can control how we respond. As Marcus Aurelius noted, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth." In this spirit, boundaries allow you to discern who aligns with your values and who detracts from them. Ultimately, setting boundaries is an act of courage and self-respect. It's not about building walls, but about creating a sanctuary for your emotional health. By embracing the Stoic focus on what's within your control, you empower yourself to navigate toxic behaviors with clarity and strength, cultivating a life surrounded by those who honor your worth. Sign 3. Masters of manipulation. The third sign of a toxic person is their mastery of manipulation, a trait that makes them dangerously adept at bending reality to serve their own ends. Like puppet masters, they pull strings to control situations, people, and even your perception of truth. One of their go-to tactics is gaslighting, an insidious form of psychological manipulation where they make you question your own memory, feelings, or sanity. You might hear phrases like, "You're overreacting, that never happened," or "You're too sensitive," designed to sow doubt and erode your confidence. Over time, you may start second-guessing your reality, wondering if you're the problem. This is no accident. It's a deliberate strategy to keep you off balance and under their influence. Manipulation doesn't stop at gaslighting. Toxic people are also skilled at guilt-tripping, wielding emotional leverage to bend you to their will. They might say, "After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me." Or, If you really cared, you'd do this. These tactics prey on your empathy or sense of obligation, making you feel responsible for their happiness or success. Other times, they might use charm or flattery to lure you into compliance, only to flip the script once they get what they want. The result is an exhausting dynamic, where you're constantly navigating their shifting narratives, unsure of where you stand. This emotional roller coaster is designed to keep you dependent on their approval. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus offers a powerful antidote to such manipulation. He taught there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. In other words, you cannot control a manipulator's tactics. Their lies, guilt trips, or distortions are their choices, not yours. However, you can control how you respond. When someone tries to twist your reality, take a step back to ground yourself. Trust your instincts. Your gut often senses what your mind is still processing. If you're feeling confused or doubting yourself, consider writing down what happened, dates, words, actions, to anchor your truth. This simple act can cut through the fog of their words, helping you reclaim clarity. Recognizing manipulation is the first step. Responding wisely is the next. Instead of engaging in their games, set firm boundaries. If they try to gaslight you, calmly state your perspective without arguing. I remember it differently and I'm confident in my recollection. If they push guilt trips, politely deflect. I understand your feelings, but I need to make decisions that work for me. By refusing to be drawn into their drama, you protect your mental space. The Stoics remind us to focus on our own actions and integrity, not the chaos others create. Manipulation thrives in environments where boundaries are weak, so vigilance is key. By staying rooted in your truth and prioritizing your emotional health, you dismantle the manipulator's power. Surround yourself with people who respect your reality, and you'll build relationships grounded in trust and mutual respect, aligned with the Stoic pursuit of a virtuous life. More manipulation tactics. Manipulators wield a diverse arsenal of tactics, each designed to undermine your autonomy and bend you to their will. One common trick is flattery with strings attached. Picture a friend who showers you with compliments, calling you their rock or the best, only to follow up with a favor you feel obligated to grant. The praise feels good, but it's a trap, binding you to their agenda. Another tactic is isolation, where they subtly sow distrust in your loved ones, whispering doubts like your family doesn't really get you, to make you emotionally dependent on them. In extreme cases, manipulators may exert control over your finances or decisions. Think of a partner who insists on managing your money, or a friend who borrows cash but never repays, keeping you tethered to their influence. These aren't mere annoyances. They're calculated power plays aimed at eroding your independence. The Stoics, who prized clarity, self-reliance, and inner freedom, would view these tactics as direct assaults on your sovereignty. Epictetus taught that true happiness comes from focusing on what's within our control, our thoughts, actions, and choices, while letting go of what isn't, like others' manipulative behaviors. Consider a partner who demands to know your whereabouts at all times, framing it as care, or a friend who repeatedly forgets to repay loans, leaving you financially strained. These are not quirks, they're deliberate attempts to dominate. The Stoics would urge you to see these actions for what they are, threats to your freedom. Recognizing this is the first step toward reclaiming your power. To counter manipulation, start small but act decisively. If someone tries guilt-tripping you with lines like, "After all I've done, you owe me," don't engage in their emotional tug-of-war. Respond calmly and firmly. "I hear you, but I can't do that right now." This sets a boundary without escalating conflict. If they're isolating you, intentionally reconnect with trusted friends or family. A quick call, coffee, date, or honest conversation can rebuild those bonds and remind you of your support network. If financial control is at play, take practical steps. Set up a separate bank account, track your spending, or politely decline further loans. These actions, grounded in Stoic principles, reinforce your independence and protect your resources. The Stoics remind us that our autonomy is sacred. No one has the right to strip it away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By refusing to let manipulators cloud your judgment, you maintain clarity and self-control. Keep a journal to document their tactics if needed, as this can help you stay anchored in reality. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and value your freedom, fostering relationships that align with the Stoic ideal of living virtuously. Breaking free from manipulation requires vigilance and courage, but each step strengthens your resolve. By recognizing these power plays and responding with Stoic wisdom, you reclaim your independence, building a life rooted in clarity, self-respect, and authentic connections. Sign 4. The need for control. The fourth sign of a toxic person is their relentless need for control, a trait that goes beyond mere influence and veers into domination. Toxic individuals don't just want a say in your life, they demand to dictate it. This control can manifest in overt or subtle ways, infiltrating personal and professional spheres. In relationships, it might look like a partner who monitors your phone, questions every text, or becomes enraged when you make plans without their approval. They might criticize your clothing choices, insisting you dress to their liking, or dictate who you're allowed to see. At work, this could be a boss who micromanages every task, scrutinizing your every move and leaving no room for autonomy or creativity. These behaviors aren't about care or guidance, they're about power. The need for control often escalates over time, becoming more insidious. A toxic person might isolate you from friends or family, subtly planting seeds of doubt about your loved one's intentions or demanding your time exclusively. They may frame this as devotion, saying, "I just want us to be close, but the result is the same." You're cut off, left feeling they're your only option. In more extreme cases, they may resort to threats, sometimes subtle, like hinting at emotional withdrawal, or overt, like warnings of consequences if you don't comply. These tactics create an environment of fear and dependence, where your choices feel constrained and your sense of self erodes. The Stoic philosopher Seneca would view this controlling behavior as a direct assault on your most sacred possession, your freedom. He wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." For Seneca, true freedom lies in living according to your own reason and values, unencumbered by external tyranny. A toxic person's need for control isn't just about asserting power. It's about stripping away your right to live on your terms, forcing lulls. They thrive on manipulating others, and their controlling nature is a deliberate strategy to keep you under their thumb. Recognizing this behavior is the first step to reclaiming your autonomy. To counter this, start by asserting your independence, in small ways. If a partner demands constant updates on your whereabouts, set boundaries by calmly stating, "I'll let you know when I'm free, but I need some space." At work, if a boss micromanages, politely request clear expectations. Up front, to reduce their need to hover. Document instances of controlling behavior to maintain clarity, as manipulators often distort reality. Reconnect with trusted friends or family to rebuild your support network, countering attempts at isolation. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our responses and choices. By recognizing controlling behavior for what it is, you take the first step toward breaking free. Trust your instincts, value your autonomy, and surround yourself with people who respect your freedom. Each act of resistance, no matter how small, reinforces your right to live authentically, aligning with the Stoic pursuit of a life governed by reason and virtue. Resist with inner strength. When faced with a toxic person's controlling behavior, reclaiming your autonomy is essential, and the Stoics offer timeless wisdom to guide you. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, declared, "No person is free who is not master of themselves." This principle underscores that your inner autonomy, your ability to govern your thoughts, choices, and actions, is your greatest weapon against those who seek to dominate. Controlling individuals may try to dictate your decisions, from what you wear to who you see, but by asserting your independence, you dismantle their power and protect your freedom. The first step in pushing back is setting firm boundaries. If someone attempts to control your choices, Say, a partner who insists on approving your plans, or a boss who micromanages your work. Respond with calm resolve. A simple, direct statement like, "I appreciate your input, but this is my decision," establishes your stance without inviting conflict. If they react with anger, guilt-tripping, or other manipulative tactics, don't waver. Your responsibility isn't to appease them, it's to safeguard your autonomy. Consistency is key. Each time you uphold a boundary, you reinforce your self-respect and weaken their grip. Document their controlling behaviors, such as specific demands or incidents, to maintain clarity and counter any attempts to distort your reality. In more challenging situations, such as a deeply controlling relationship, seeking external support is vital. Controlling individuals often isolate you, making you feel alone in your struggle, but you don't have to face it solo. Reach out to a trusted friend or family member to share your experiences and gain perspective. If the situation feels overwhelming, consider speaking with a counselor or contacting a hotline for guidance. The Stoics, while champions of self-reliance, valued reason above all. Epictetus taught that strength lies in using rational judgment to navigate challenges, which includes knowing when to seek help. Engaging a support network isn't a sign of weakness, it's a strategic move to protect your well-being and reclaim your life. The Stoics remind us to focus on what's within our control, our responses, boundaries, and choices. You can't change a controlling person's behavior, but you can refuse to let it define you. If a controller tries to manipulate you with threats or emotional outbursts, disengage calmly rather than arguing, which only fuels their tactics. For example, if they demand constant updates on your whereabouts, respond with, "I'll share when I'm available, but I need space." Over time, these small acts of resistance build momentum, empowering you to break free from their influence. By asserting your independence, you're not just resisting control, you're embodying the Stoic ideal of living according to reason and virtue. Trust your instincts, lean on supportive relationships, and prioritize your inner freedom. Each step you take, whether setting a boundary or seeking help, is an act of courage that brings you closer to a life of authenticity and self-mastery, where no one can strip away your right to live on your terms. Sign 5. Pathological lying. The fifth sign of a toxic person is pathological lying, a behavior so pervasive it feels like their full-time job. These individuals spin tales with such conviction that you begin to question your own grasp on reality. They might exaggerate their accomplishments, claiming accolades they never earned, or fabricate emotions to manipulate your sympathy. Some lie about trivial matters, where they were, what they did, seemingly for no reason other than the thrill of deception. Over time, this relentless dishonesty erodes trust, leaving you confused, betrayed, and emotionally drained. The constant need to separate fact from fiction creates a destabilizing chaos that undermines your confidence and relationships. For the Stoics, truth was non-negotiable. Marcus Aurelius, a beacon of Stoic philosophy, wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." To him, lying wasn't merely a bad habit, it was a betrayal of virtue, a rejection of the rational and honest life that defines human dignity. A pathological liar's web of deceit violates this principle, sowing discord wherever they go. In the workplace, it might be a co-worker who takes credit for your contributions, weaving elaborate stories to inflate their own importance while diminishing yours. In personal relationships, it could be a friend who spins dramatic tales to keep you emotionally hooked, only for you to later discover their stories were fabrications. The damage extends beyond hurt feelings. It can disrupt your career, fracture relationships, and even distort your sense of reality. Pathological lying thrives on the confusion it creates. A toxic person might tell one lie to cover another, building, say, a fragile house of cards that inevitably collapses. For example, they might claim to have been at an important meeting to impress you, only to trip over inconsistencies when pressed for details. Or they might feign vulnerability, claiming illness or hardship, to elicit your support only to reveal their story was a ploy for attention or favors. Each lie chips away at trust, leaving you second-guessing not just them, but your own judgment. This emotional toll can make you feel isolated, as you struggle to discern what's real in a fog of deception. The Stoics would urge you to anchor yourself in truth to counter this chaos. Start by trusting your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Verify claims when possible, whether by checking facts or consulting others. If a coworker's story about their contributions seems dubious, discreetly confirm with colleagues or records. In personal relationships, pay attention to patterns. Frequent inconsistencies or evasiveness are red flags. Setting boundaries is crucial. Limit your emotional investment in someone who lies compulsively, and call out falsehoods calmly when necessary, saying, "I'm confused because what you're saying doesn't add up." By prioritizing truth and clarity, you protect your mental space and align with the Stoic pursuit of virtue. Ultimately, recognizing pathological lying empowers you to break free from its grip. Surround yourself with honest, trustworthy people who value integrity, and you'll build a life grounded in authenticity, where trust thrives and your sense of reality remains unshaken. How to spot and handle lies. Spotting a pathological liar requires vigilance and a keen eye for detail, but with practice, you can protect yourself from their web of deceit. One of the most effective ways to identify lies is to look for inconsistencies in their stories. Do their accounts align over time, or do details shift with each retelling? For instance, a coworker might boast about leading a project, but their timeline or specifics may not match known facts. In personal relationships, a friend might claim they were somewhere specific, only to contradict themselves later. These discrepancies, however small, are red flags. Another clue is excessive vagueness or deflection when pressed for details. Liars often dodge to avoid being caught. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it's worth investigating. When you catch someone in a lie, avoid aggressive confrontation, as pathological liars are adept at doubling down or spinning new tales to cover their tracks. Instead, channel the Stoic wisdom of Seneca, who advised staying calm and anchoring yourself in what you know to be true. Focus on facts and maintain your composure. In professional settings, protect yourself by documenting your contributions. If a coworker habitually lies about their role in a project, keep emails, meeting notes, or other evidence to ensure your work is recognized. This not only safeguards your reputation, but also limits the liar's ability to manipulate narratives. In personal relationships, handling lies is more emotionally complex, as trust is deeply personal. If a friend or partner's dishonesty is eroding your confidence in them, initiate an honest, non-accusatory conversation. Try saying, "I've noticed some things don't add up and it's making it hard to trust you." This approach invites clarity while signaling that you're aware of their behavior. Pay attention to their response. If they deflect, gaslight, or manipulate, perhaps claiming you're overreacting, that's a clear sign to pull back. Setting boundaries is essential. Limit how much you share with them and reduce emotional reliance. For example, if a friend repeatedly lies about their intentions, keep interactions light and avoid confiding in them. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, placed truth at the core of a virtuous life, declaring, "If it is not true, do not say it." A liar's chaos threatens this principle, pulling you into a disorienting cycle of doubt. To counter this, prioritize your mental clarity. Verify claims when possible, cross-check stories with others, or rely on objective evidence. If lies persist, distance yourself to minimize their impact. In extreme cases, such as a partner whose dishonesty creates emotional turmoil, seek support from trusted friends, family, or a counselor to regain perspective. By honing your ability to spot lies and responding with Stoic resolve, you reclaim control over your reality. Set firm boundaries, trust your judgment, and surround yourself with people who value honesty. Each step you take to disengage from a liar's web strengthens your commitment to truth, fostering a life of integrity and authentic connections, as the Stoics would advocate. Setting rock-solid boundaries. Having identified the 5 signs of toxic people, charm masking selfishness, lack of empathy, manipulation, controlling behavior, and pathological lying, it's time to arm yourself with the ultimate defense. Rock-solid boundaries. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes your shield. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Boundaries are how you claim that power, protecting your peace and autonomy from toxic influences. By setting clear limits, you assert your right to a life free from manipulation and chaos. The first step is clarity. Define what you will and won't tolerate. Reflect on the toxic behaviors you've encountered, perhaps a friend's relentless guilt-tripping, a co-worker's gaslighting, or a partner's controlling demands. Decide what's non-negotiable. For instance, if manipulation is the issue, resolve not to engage with tactics like emotional blackmail. Then communicate your boundary assertively but calmly. If a friend constantly interrupts, say, "I need to finish my thoughts without being cut off." Frame it around your needs, not their shortcomings, to maintain composure while standing firm. This approach, rooted in Stoic reason, keeps interactions focused and minimizes defensiveness. Consistency is the cornerstone of effective boundaries. Toxic people are notorious for testing limits, pushing back with charm, anger, or manipulation, to see if you'll relent. Don't give in. If you've declared that lying is unacceptable, follow through. Whether by calling out falsehoods calmly with, "That doesn't align with what I know," or reducing contact with the liar. Each time you uphold your boundary, you reinforce your resolve and signal that you're serious. Inconsistent enforcement invites further oversteps, so stay steadfast, as Epictetus would advise, focusing on what's within your control, your actions and commitment to self-respect. Guilt is a favorite weapon of toxic individuals who may try to make you feel selfish or cruel for setting boundaries. Seneca's wisdom is invaluable here. Prioritize what you can control, your inner peace, not their emotional reactions. If a toxic person is upset because you've limited their access to you, that's their burden, not yours. Practice self-compassion by reminding yourself that boundaries are an act of self-care, not punishment. Journaling can help solidify your resolve, allowing you to track boundary violations and affirm your reasons for setting them, keeping you grounded in truth. Finally, don't hesitate to seek support. The Stoics valued community and reason, recognizing that strength often comes from connection. If you're struggling to enforce boundaries, confide in a trusted friend, consult a therapist, or engage with a supportive community. In cases of severe toxicity, such as a controlling relationship, resources like hotlines can provide guidance. You don't have to face toxic people alone. Leaning on others bolsters your resilience. Setting rock-solid boundaries is an act of courage and self-mastery. By defining your limits, staying consistent, resisting guilt, and seeking support, you embody the Stoic ideal of living virtuously. These boundaries not only shield you from toxic influences, but also pave the way for relationships built on trust, respect, and authenticity, empowering you to live life on your terms.
We've explored a wealth of insights today, unpacking the 5 signs of toxic people: charm masking selfishness, lack of empathy, manipulation, controlling behavior, and pathological lying, along with the power of setting rock-solid boundaries. But this is just the beginning of your journey. Recognizing toxic individuals and protecting your peace is a lifelong practice, and the Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, are your steadfast guides. Rooted in reason, virtue, and truth, their teachings equip you with the tools to navigate relationships with clarity, safeguard your inner strength, and build a life that reflects your highest values. The Stoics, from Marcus Aurelius to Seneca and Epictetus, remind us that true freedom lies in mastering ourselves. Whether you're dealing with a manipulative coworker, a controlling partner, or a dishonest friend, their principles empower you to see through the masks and reclaim your autonomy. By setting boundaries, trusting your instincts, and prioritizing truth, you create space for relationships that uplift and inspire. This journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress, about consistently choosing resilience over chaos and virtue over deceit. Each step you take, whether calling out a lie or calmly asserting a boundary, is a victory in living authentically. As you move forward, carry the Stoic mindset with you. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. When faced with toxicity, focus on what you can control, your responses, your boundaries, and the company you keep. Surround yourself with people who respect your worth and share your commitment to honesty and mutual care. If the weight of a toxic relationship feels heavy, don't hesitate to seek support from friends, family, or professionals. Stoic strength includes knowing when to lean on community. To deepen your understanding, explore more Stoic wisdom through additional resources. There's a playlist of videos on Stoic philosophy waiting for you, packed with practical tips to enhance your resilience and clarity. Subscribe to stay connected, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into living a virtuous life. Your engagement fuels this journey. So share your experiences in the comment below. Have you ever encountered a toxic person, and how did you handle it? Whether it was setting a boundary, walking away, or finding inner calm, your story could inspire someone else. Every comment is read, and together, we're building a community rooted in growth and empowerment. This is more than a one-time lesson. It's a call to action. Keep practicing the art of spotting toxicity and protecting your peace. Stay vigilant, but also stay compassionate, balancing strength with kindness. With the Stoics as your guide, you're not just surviving toxic relationships. You're thriving, crafting a life of purpose and resilience. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and embrace the journey ahead. Let's keep growing together. See you in the next exploration of Stoic wisdom.